You know that feeling, that moment, maybe at the start of a new year or after a particularly frustrating day when you just know something needs to change.
Oh, absolutely.
You resolve to finally start exercising or quit snacking at night, maybe get serious about that creative project.
Yeah, and you tell yourself, okay, this time it's going to be different.
Exactly.
This time.
And then, well, the familiar cycle kind of takes over, doesn't it? That
Mm-hmm.
initial burst of motivation fades, old patterns just creep back in,
Mm-hmm.
and you find yourself once again feeling stuck or frustrated, maybe, a few steps forward before sliding right back.
Totally. It's that classic gap, right, between the person you aspire to be and the habits you actually, well, live by.
And it raises the fundamental question, how do you actually bridge that gap? How do you become the person you dream of becoming?
And maybe make those desired behaviors feel less like a constant uphill battle and more, I don't know, automatic. That's the core challenge this deep dive is really designed to tackle. We've been digging into a really thorough summary of James Clear's incredibly popular book, Atomic Habits.
Right.
And our mission here is to pull out the absolute most important insights from this material, the practical system it lays out for building good habits, breaking bad ones.
And really help you understand what truly drives behavior change, according to this approach anyway.
Exactly. We're going to unpack some truly fascinating concepts that jumped out from the summary.
Things like the surprising power of tiny shifts. Yeah. And the hidden dynamics of how habits form.
Uh-huh. The role of things like dopamine, your environment, which it calls an invisible hand.
Ooh, interesting. And a simple framework you can actually use.
Okay, let's get into it. And the foundational idea the book summary starts with is the often underestimated power of small changes.
Yeah, this was one of those aha moments for me reading through it.
Yeah.
The central argument is that tiny, seemingly insignificant changes, what the book calls atomic habits.
Atomic, like tiny but powerful.
Exactly. They can have a dramatic, almost unbelievable impact on your life's trajectory over time.
Eh,
The summary uses this great analogy.
the plain one.
Yeah, imagine a plane taking off from New York heading for Los Angeles. If the pilot adjusts the heading by just 3 degrees before leaving the runway,
Which sounds like nothing, right?
almost nothing, like 80 inches over the first 100 yards.
Yeah.
But they won't land in LA. They'd end up somewhere near Tijuana, Mexico.
Wow. That small adjustment just compounded over that long distance creates this massive deviation.
It really does. And we are so conditioned, I think, to believe that big success requires massive revolutionary action.
A complete overhaul, yeah. An extreme diet, a sudden dramatic change.
Right. But the book makes a powerful case that it's the cumulative effect of tiny, consistent improvements that really moves the needle.
Absolutely. And the math is pretty compelling when you look at it.
The 1% thing.
Yeah, the 1% thing. If you commit to being just 1% better every single day for a year, the compounding effect means you'll end up nearly 38 times better by the end of it.
38 times. That's kind of staggering from such a small input.
It's exponential growth. But the scary flip side is also true.
Oh, yeah.
Being just 1% worse every day for a year takes you almost all the way back to zero.
Oof. Okay.
So it shows that habits aren't just things you do. They are powerful forces, like compound interest, that can either work against you.
Like stress, maybe negative self-talk, little procrastinations adding up.
Exactly. Or they work for you building knowledge, skills, productivity, strengthening relationships.
There's a quote from the summary that really nails this, I thought.
Which one?
Success is the product of daily habits, not once-in-a-lifetime transformations.
That puts it plainly. Simple but profound.
Which leads us right into a really crucial point about how progress actually unfolds and, frankly, why so many of us get discouraged.
Right. Because when we start a new habit, we usually expect progress to be, well, linear, right? Like climbing a staircase, each step forward is visible. It seems directly linked to the effort.
Makes sense. Put in work, get result.
But the book explains that behavior change, like a lot of compounding processes, follows more of a J-curve.
The J-curve, okay.
Yeah, you put in the effort, you make those small changes, but for a significant period, the results look flat or minimal.
So you're doing the work, but nothing seems to be happening.
Exactly. You are improving behind the scenes, building the foundation, laying the groundwork, but you just can't see the payoff yet.
And this is what the book calls the valley of disappointment.
That's the term.
We've been showing up, doing the work, consistently making that 1% effort, but you're still nowhere near LA, using that plane analogy again.
You're stuck in the desert, yeah, seemingly getting nowhere. And this is the phase where most people quit.
Because you think it's not working.
Right. They interpret that lack of visible progress as a sign the system isn't working, or maybe they're just not cut out for it. But what's really needed is patience.
Patience. Hard sometimes.
Oh, definitely. Because the most powerful results of compounding are almost always delayed. You have to kind of trust the process even when it feels a bit futile.
Okay, trust the process. And speaking of the process, here's where the book summary throws out what feels like um, a counterintuitive bomb.
Ah, I know where you're going with this.
Forget about goals, focus on systems instead. In all caps in the summary even.
Yeah. That really makes you stop and think, doesn't it? We're constantly told. Set smart goals, clear targets. And a goal is the desired outcome, right? Run a marathon, write a book, lose 20 pounds.
That's the destination.
Exactly. A system, in contrast, is the underlying process that leads to those outcomes. Your training plan, your daily writing routine, your meal prep schedule.
The journey, kinda. The map in the engine.
That's a great way to put it. And the argument is, if you shifted your entire focus to building and maintaining an effective system, the goal would almost, well, take care of itself.
But focusing only on goals. The summary points out some significant downsides.
Yeah, it does. For one, think about it. Successful and unsuccessful people often share the same goals. Everyone wants to be happy, healthy, successful, right?
So the goal itself isn't the differentiator. Interesting.
Exactly. Another point. Achieving a goal is just a momentary change. You cross the finish line of the marathon, great. Feels amazing, I'm sure.
That's it, yeah.
But if you didn't build a system and maybe an identity around being a runner, you might just stop training and lose that fitness pretty quickly.
Back to square one.
Okay. Goals also create this binary, like either-or outcome. You either succeeded or you failed.
Which can make you feel like a failure, even if you made huge progress, but didn't quite hit that arbitrary target you set.
Precisely. And finally, motivation tied only to achieving the goal. It can just vanish once the goal is reached.
Poof. Like, okay, done that, now what?
Right. Without a system or a deeper reason, you can quickly revert back to old habits.
So the key takeaway here is really potent. The summary says, goals are good for setting a direction, but systems are best for making progress.
Goals as the compass, systems as the engine and map combined. I like that.
Yeah. And this emphasis on systems flows directly into the book's framework for the 3 layers of behavior change. This was really
The
useful.
layers idea, yeah.
You can try to change your outcomes, your results, your process, what you do, or your identity, your beliefs about yourself.
And the most profound and lasting change, the book argues, happens when you focus on changing your identity.
Not just the result, but who you are.
Exactly. You're not just trying to achieve a result. You're aiming to become a certain type of person.
This resonated deeply with me. It's like the goal isn't just to learn an instrument.
Right. It's to become a musician.
Or not just to run a marathon.
But to become a runner.
Yeah. When a behavior becomes part of your identity, you're no longer trying to, force yourself to do it against your will.
You just do it because it's who you are. A runner runs, a musician practices, it feels natural, congruent.
And you build this new identity through small actions. The book suggests reframing these actions as votes for the person you want to become.
I love that votes concept.
Me too. Every time you do a workout, you are casting a vote for becoming an athlete. Or every time you write a line of code, you are voting for becoming a coder.
Each time you instruct your team effectively, you are voting for being a leader. These tiny habits become proof, evidence that your new identity is real.
So to build these identity-aligned systems, we first need to understand the mechanism behind habits themselves. How do they actually work?
Okay, yeah. The book defines a habit pretty simply. It's just a behavior repeated enough times that it becomes automatic.
Like driving a car eventually.
Exactly. Ultimately, they're mental shortcuts. Our brain's way of solving common problems with the least amount of conscious effort. Saves energy.
And they are built and reinforced through this continuous feedback loop.
Yeah.
The book breaks it down into 4 stages.
Cue, craving, response, and reward. It's a cycle.
Cue, craving, response, reward. Got it.
Right. Think of it like this. The cue is the trigger. It signals an opportunity for a reward.
Okay. The prompt.
Then the craving. That's the motivational force, the anticipation of that reward, the wanting.
The urge.
Then the response. That's the actual habit you perform, the action.
The doing.
And finally, the reward. That's the outcome that satisfies the craving and, crucially, signals to your brain which actions are worth remembering and repeating in the future.
Okay, let's use the examples from the summary. Your phone buzzes. That's the cue. You want to know who messaged you?
Yeah.
That's the craving.
Yep, that little hit of curiosity or connection.
You pick up the phone, response.
And you satisfy your curiosity. Reward. Loop complete.
Or, okay, you hit a mental block at work, cue.
That feeling of frustration or boredom.
You crave alleviating that frustration.
Through a
Craving.
relief, yeah.
You check social media, response.
And you get that temporary distraction, feel less frustrated in that moment. Reward.
And here's the kicker, right? The rewards become strongly associated with the cues.
Absolutely. So that feeling of a mental block at work becomes a trigger for social media. The phone buzz becomes a trigger for checking it immediately.
And checking Facebook might then become the cue to check Instagram, which becomes the cue to check Twitter.
And suddenly, half an hour is gone. It's how one simple trigger can lead to this chain of habits, consuming significant time or energy without you even fully realizing it.
And these loops just get stronger every time they're repeated, more automatic.
Totally. And cues can be incredibly diverse, as the summary points out. Anything from a specific time of day, a location, a preceding action you just finished.
An emotion you're feeling, or even other people around you.
Right. So thinking about what cues trigger your current habits, both the good ones and the bad ones, that's a really crucial first step. Awareness.
Okay, so knowing how this habit loop works, cue, craving, response, reward, how do we intentionally design it? How do we use this to build the habits we want and break the ones we don't?
That's where the book summary offers this set of 4 laws of behavior change. There's one law for each stage of the loop, basically, to guide us.
These are like the actionable levers then, the strategy guide.
Exactly, your toolkit for engineering habits. So, law 1, make it obvious.
Let me be obvious. Okay.
You can't change a habit you're not even aware of. So the first step is just making the unconscious behavior conscious, bringing it into the light.
And a powerful tool for this, mentioned in the summary, is the habit scorecard.
Ah, yes, the scorecard.
Literally writing down everything you do for a day or a typical day, from waking up to sleeping, and marking each action. Plus for good, minus for bad, equals for neutral.
And the key here is it's based on whether it helps you become the person you want to be. It's about observation, not judgment.
Right. Not beating yourself up, just seeing what's actually happening. It reminds me of that Carl Jung quote mentioned, "Until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life and you will call it fate."
Powerful. And a major enemy of obviousness is just vagueness. I'll exercise more, or I'll eat healthier. They're too ill-defined.
A clear trigger.
Exactly. You need a clear plan for when and where the new habit will actually happen.
That's where the implementation intention comes in, right?
Look at that formula.
Right, well, it's behavior at time in this location.
Super specific.
So instead of, I will read more this month, make it concrete. I will read a book for 15 minutes every day at 6 a.m. in the spare bedroom.
Time and location. They act as specific, reliable cues, much harder to ignore.
And another simple but really powerful technique mentioned is habit stacking.
Love this one. So simple.
You connect a new habit you want to build to an existing habit you already do consistently without even thinking about it.
The formula is basically, after current habit, I will new habit.
Like after I make my first cup of coffee, I will meditate for 10 minutes. The coffee's the anchor.
Precisely. Or, after I take off my work shoes, I will immediately change into my workout clothes.
And you can chain multiple habits together this way too, right?
Yeah.
Stack them up.
Definitely. After I finish dinner, I will wipe down the kitchen counter, then I will pack my lunch for tomorrow, then I will lay out my workout clothes. The existing habit becomes that reliable trigger cue for the whole new stack.
Makes sense. The book also stresses that motivation is less effective than environment design. That your environment is like this invisible hand subtly shaping your choices.
Hugely important. We're incredibly sensitive to our context, to the cues around us.
So make the cues for your good habits visible and easily accessible. Put water bottles around your house if you want to drink more water.
Leave the book you're reading on your nightstand or coffee table, not hidden on a shelf.
Have your running shoes right by the door. Make it easy to see them.
And for bad habits, do the opposite. Make the cues invisible. Put the junk food in a high cabinet. Or better yet, just don't buy it. Keep it out of the house.
Keep your phone in another room while you're trying to work or focus. Out of sight, out of mind, sometimes.
It helps. This relates to the idea that context is the cue. It's not just the object itself, but the association you have with that location or object.
Like, if your bedroom is only for sleeping, trying to work there might be really difficult because the context cues sleep.
Exactly. The book suggests the mantra, one space, one use, to build these strong associations. This couch is for relaxing. This desk is for working. This chair is for reading.
And to break those bad habits, the summary emphasizes that willpower is limited. It's a short-term strategy at best.
Yeah, relying on willpower is exhausting. Hiding the cue, making it invisible, is much more effective in the long run than constantly trying to resist temptation through sheer grit.
Okay, so that's Law 1, make it obvious. What's next?
Law 2, make it attractive. We pursue habits that we find appealing or rewarding. To make a habit stick, you need to make the idea of doing it desirable. Increase the craving.
And the role of dopamine here is fascinating. The summary explains it's not just the pleasure chemical, it's heavily involved in motivation and anticipation.
Right. Dopamine levels actually spike when we expect a reward, sometimes even more than when we actually receive it.
So it's the wanting, not just the liking.
Exactly. This is why anticipation can be such a strong driver. Think about the dopamine hits from just the idea of checking social media or the smell of your favorite junk food before you eat it.
Or the anticipation of winning a bet or looking forward to a vacation.
It's the craving fueled by that dopamine spike that compels action.
So how do we harness this? The book suggests temptation bundling.
Yes. Link an action you need to do with an action you want to do.
The classic example being bundling working out with listening to your favorite podcast that you only allow yourself to listen to while exercising.
Exactly. Or maybe only watch your favorite guilty pleasure TV show while you're on the treadmill.
This leverages something called Premack's principle, right?
Right. Basically, using a higher probability behavior, something you're already likely to do, like listening to a podcast or watching TV, to reinforce a lower probability behavior, like exercising.
You're essentially conditioning yourself to look forward to the hard thing because it's paired with the fun thing. Smart.
Yeah, it makes the anticipation work for you. Another powerful factor for attractiveness is group influence.
Oh, the people around us.
Hugely influential. We are wired to conform to the norms of the people we associate with. So, want to build a new habit? Find or join a group where that behavior is already the norm.
Like if you want to be a reader, join a book club. If you want to get fit, hang out with people who prioritize fitness.
Their normal becomes your normal. It makes the desired behavior seem attractive and expected.
The summary also connects our modern cravings back to ancient primal motivators. This was really interesting.
Yeah, those surface-level desires, checking social media, watching Netflix, eating comfort food, they're often modern manifestations of deeper biological drives.
Like the need for connection, social acceptance, love, status, or reducing uncertainty.
Our brains didn't evolve wanting to tweet or order pizza with an app, but habits like Facebook tap into our need for connection. Dating apps tap into finding love. Google taps into reducing uncertainty. Instagram taps into social acceptance and status.
They're modern solutions to ancient desires. Makes sense why they're so sticky.
And you can actively reprogram your brain's associations to make hard habits more attractive.
How so?
Instead of focusing on the difficulty, consciously highlight the immediate benefits. Reframe it. Fitness isn't just a hard workout, it's gaining vitality and energy now.
Cleaning isn't tedious chores. It's creating a peaceful, calm space now.
Saving money isn't deprivation, it's building future freedom and security, which can feel good now.
And to break a bad habit, flip it. Make the idea of it unattractive.
Exactly. Focus on the downsides. Remind yourself of how sluggish you feel after eating junk food, or how much time you waste scrolling, or the long-term health consequences. Associate it with negative feelings.
Okay, obvious. Attractive. What's Law 3?
Law 3. Make it easy. This law is all about reducing the friction associated with good habits and, conversely, increasing it for bad ones.
Less effort, more likely.
Precisely. And the key here, the book emphasizes, isn't really about the time you spend on a habit, especially at first. It's about the number of repetitions. Each repetition strengthens that neural pathway, making it more automatic.
So practice makes permanent, essentially.
You got it. And the law of least effort is fundamental here. Given a choice, humans, all animals, really will naturally gravitate towards the option that requires the least amount of work or energy.
Path of least resistance.
So use that. Make your desired habits the path of least resistance. Put your running shoes where you practically trip over them.
Prepare healthy snacks in advance so they're easier to grab than junk food.
Keep your meditation cushion visible and ready. Reduce the steps between you and the habit.
And for bad habits, do the opposite. Add friction. Make them harder to do.
Right. Priming your environment is a fantastic way to make good habits easy. Spend just a few minutes preparing in advance to make the next action almost effortless.
Like laying out your workout clothes the night before. No excuses in the morning.
Or setting up your coffee maker with grounds and water so all you do is press a button.
Or opening the book you plan to read to the correct page and putting it where you'll see it.
It eliminates those little points of friction, those moments where you might hesitate or need to make a decision, making it much easier to just do the thing.
And for getting started, the 2-minute rule seems brilliant.
Oh, it's fantastic for overcoming inertia. Scale down any habit you want to build into a version that takes 2 minutes or less.
So, want to read for an hour every day. The 2-minute version is just read 1 page.
Want to run 10 miles? The 2-minute version is put on running shoes and step outside.
Want to do yoga for 30 minutes? Take out yoga mat.
Exactly. The point isn't to only do 2 minutes forever. Although some days that might be all you manage, and that's okay.
The point is to make it so ridiculously easy to start that you can't say no.
Right. It's about showing up consistently and anchoring the routine. Master the art of starting. Once you've mastered showing up, then you can gradually increase the duration or intensity.
Focus on building the habit of starting first. I like that.
And to increase friction for bad habits, make them inconvenient.
Like, unplug the TV after use and maybe even take the batteries out of the remote and put them somewhere else.
Or store your snacks in a really difficult to reach place or lock them up.
Delete social media apps from your phone. Force yourself to log in via a web browser, which is usually more effort.
Add steps, add difficulty. Make the easy choice the good choice.
Okay, make it easy. What's the final law?
Law 4. Make it satisfying. This law is arguably the most critical because it determines whether you will actually repeat the habit again in the future.
This closes the loop.
Exactly. Simply put, what is immediately rewarded is repeated. What is immediately punished is avoided. Our brains are wired for immediate gratification.
And this is where we kind of butt up against that mismatch between immediate and delayed returns we talked about earlier.
Precisely. Bad habits often feel good now, eating junk food, scrolling, but hurt us later. Good habits often feel hard or effortful now, exercising, saving money, but benefit us later.
So the brain's natural tendency is often towards the bad habit because the reward is immediate.
Right. So the trick to sticking with good habits is finding a way to bring some form of immediate satisfaction into the present moment right after you complete the habit.
You need that little hit of success now.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Feeling successful, even in a small way, right after completing the habit, provides that immediate reward. It signals to your brain, hey, that was worth it, do that again.
And visual forms of measurement are fantastic for this, according to the summary.
Yeah, things like moving paper clips from one jar to another after completing a task, or marking a big X on a calendar, keeping a workout log.
Like watching the progress bar on a download. Seeing that progress laid out visually is intrinsically satisfying somehow.
It really is.
Yeah.
The habit tracker is a classic, simple example, just a basic calendar where you mark off each a day you perform the habit.
You build up a visual chain of X's.
And the satisfaction comes from seeing that chain grow and, crucially, not wanting to break it. Don't break the chain.
Ah, the Seinfeld strategy.
Basically, yeah. And because life happens, interruptions occur, you will inevitably miss a day or fall off track sometime.
It's going to happen.
The book emphasizes the importance of recovering quickly. Don't let one slip-up derail you completely. As the summary notes, lost days hurt you more than successful days help you.
Wow, that's stark. So consistency is key.
Absolutely. And the crucial rule when you miss is never miss twice.
Never miss twice.
One skipped day is an anomaly, maybe an accident. 2 skipped days in a row, that's the beginning of a new, undesirable habit.
So even if you can only do the 2-minute version of your habit on an off day, just show up, do something, keep the chain alive, even if it's weak link for that day.
Exactly. Maintain the momentum. And
Yeah.
for breaking bad habits, the key is the inverse. Make it immediately unsatisfying.
Add an immediate consequence or cost.
Right. This is where accountability partners can be incredibly effective.
Having someone watch you
Yeah.
or check in.
Yeah. The fear of immediate pain, especially social pressure, letting someone down, or even a tangible cost makes you think twice before engaging in the behavior.
The example given was owing a friend money and losing their respect for skipping a planned workout. That's a powerful, immediate consequence.
Much more influential than some vague, distant health consequence down the road. Near-term consequences shape behavior much more effectively.
And for formalizing this, the book discusses the habit contract.
Sounds serious.
Yeah, it's basically a written agreement. You outline the habit you want to stick to or avoid, the rules, and crucially, the specific punishments for failing.
And this is enforced by one or more accountability partners.
Exactly. It adds significant friction and a very clear, immediate consequence to breaking the habit. Makes it much less likely you'll slip up.
Okay, those are the core concepts and the 4 laws. Obvious, attractive, easy, satisfying. Understanding the principles is one thing.
But seeing them applied really brings it to life, doesn't it? The summary includes a great example of someone using these ideas in practice.
Yeah, building a workout routine, creating a reading habit, and cutting down on social media overuse.
And they started, as suggested, with that habit scorecard, figuring out their current patterns, where they could stack things, what needed to go.
Right. So for building the workout habit, first, make it obvious. They used an implementation intention. Specified the time and place workout at 6 a.m. in the living room.
Clear cue.
Yeah.
And they designed their environment too, right? Leaving dumbbells visible, putting up inspiring pictures.
Yep. Then make it attractive. They bundled the workout with something they loved listening to favorite podcasts only during exercise.
Temptation bundling. And they worked on reprogramming their internal language, focusing on the positive, getting to build strength versus feeling obligated, like have to work out.
Good reframing. Then make it easy. They started with the 2-minute rule, just putting on workout clothes and stretching initially.
Showing up, anchoring the routine.
Exactly. Focus was on consistency first, then increasing intensity later. They reduced friction by having a rule. No checking the phone until the workout was done.
Smart. And priming the environment by laying out clothes the night before. Zero excuses.
And finally, make it satisfying. They use a habit tracker, getting that visual reward of crossing off days.
And they send a picture of their workout data to their partner, added that social accountability and positive reinforcement.
And crucially, they consciously focused on building that identity, become the kind of person that enjoys fitness, while acknowledging they were probably in the valley of disappointment and just needed to be patient and trust the system.
Okay, what about the reading habit?
For reading, they used habit stacking really effectively. After making my morning coffee, I will read for 90 minutes. The coffee ritual became the automatic cue.
Nice. And environment design.
Also key, they used the one space, one use rule reading only on the balcony, created a dedicated reading zone.
Made it attractive by bundling it with the coffee they already enjoyed. The anticipation of coffee got linked to reading.
And made it easy by starting with the 2-minute rule. Commit initially to reading just one page. That got them started, and it naturally flowed into longer sessions over time.
Anchor the habit first. Makes sense. And finally, breaking the social media habit. How do the laws apply in reverse?
Okay, so first, make it invisible. They deleted the distracting apps from their phone, making the cue harder to access.
Made the phone boring, essentially?
Very much. Then make it unattractive. They used conscious reprogramming, associating negative feelings with scrolling, thinking things like consuming is lazy or endless scrolling is for losers.
Yeah.
Harsh, maybe, but effective for them.
Whatever works. Then increasing friction.
Right, make it difficult. They physically separated themselves from the phone during work hours, leaving it in a drawer in another room, added effort to access it.
Out of sight, out of easy reach.
And finally, make it unsatisfying. This is where accountability came in strongly. Their partner acted as an enforcer.
Oh, wow. What was the consequence?
A tangible, immediate punishment. A $10 fine every single time they were caught using social media during designated work hours.
Ouch. That would add up. Makes the immediate consequence very real.
Exactly. So it's a really practical illustration of how you can combine these laws creatively. And as the book summary notes, this is just one way. It's not one size fits all.
Right. You need to experiment, find these strategies and tweaks that work best for your personality and your specific situation.
Absolutely. But ultimately, the profound takeaway from this deep dive, I think, is the sheer power of those tiny, consistent changes. It's not about heroic feats of willpower.
No, it's about building a reliable system.
Yeah.
A smarter approach, guided by a clear understanding of how our habits actually work.
We've covered quite a bit. The surprising magic of that 1% compounding effect. The crucial mental shift from focusing only on goals to building effective systems.
The deep leverage you get from focusing on your identity, understanding and influencing that habit loop cue, craving, response, reward.
And then the practical strategies from the 4 laws. Making good habits obvious, attractive, easy, and satisfying.
And flipping those for bad habits.
Yeah.
Making them invisible, unattractive, difficult, and unsatisfying.
The real power, though, comes in thinking about how you can apply these principles in your own life. Whereas just one small place you could start, maybe even today.
Yeah. Considering that incredible compounding potential of tiny habits over time, Maybe ask yourself, what single miniature habit, if I actually committed to doing it consistently, could make the biggest positive difference in my life, say 5 years from now?
Good question.
And then, what's the absolute smallest step, the 2-minute version maybe, I could take towards making that happen today?